They did not know his name. To the Galactic Accord, he was simply designation, Human 1A, last confirmed survivor of the Terran Expeditionary Corps, presumed dangerous, psychologically unstable, and most unforgivably uncooperative. To humanity, scattered and silent across burnout systems, he was already dead. And to himself, he was just Elias Ward, a mechanic who had once fixed fusion pumps on civilian cargo ships and never imagined he would become the most hunted being in the galaxy. The day the Accord deployed 500 warships to capture or eliminate him, the galaxy agreed on one thing: no single human could survive that. They were wrong. The alarm echoed through the Grand Tactical Spire, a structure floating above the core world of Virex Prime like a crown of steel and glass. Hundreds of species had representatives there, each adapted to gravity, atmosphere, and biology, but all now frozen in the same stunned silence. A hologram burned in the center of the chamber. It showed a dead fleet. 72 Accord warships, destroyers, carriers, command vessels reduced to drifting wreckage. No boarding signals, no survivors, no enemy fleet visible. Only one anomaly. A single human transponder ping, fading into deep space. High Strategist Korthak slammed a clawed limb onto the crystalline table. "This is impossible," the insectoid commander hissed. "One vessel cannot do this." The analyst drones projected data streams, weapon signatures that didn't match any known human fleet doctrine, power fluctuations inconsistent with standard reactors, and maneuver patterns that suggested improvisation. "That ship is not a warship," one analyst said carefully. "It was a converted mining freighter." Murmurs spread through the chamber. "A freighter?" "No," Korthak snarled. "It is a symbol. The humans are sending a message." "But there is no human fleet," another counselor argued. "Earth was neutralized. Their colonies surrendered." "Then why?" Korthak demanded. "Does one human keep erasing our task forces?" Silence followed. Finally, the Accord voted. 500 warships, hunters, interceptors, planet crackers if necessary. Not to fight a human fleet. To hunt one human. Elias floated in the dim cockpit of the Wayfarer, boots hooked under a cracked console, hands shaking as he replaced a jury-rigged coolant valve with a part salvaged from a wreck he'd helped create. The ship groaned softly, like an old animal refusing to die. "Hold together," he muttered, "just a little longer." The Wayfarer had once been a mining support vessel, no shields worth naming, no weapons beyond what Elias had welded on with stolen parts and desperation. And yet, it had survived battles no ship its size should have. Not because Elias was a great warrior, but because he refused to fight the way the galaxy expected. He pulled himself into the pilot's chair and brought up the sensor feed. 500 contacts. Even filtered, even distant, the sheer number made his stomach drop. "So," he whispered, "they finally lost patience." Elias could run. He always ran. He knew forgotten trade lanes, gravity wells that confused navigation, debris fields dense enough to tear apart careless pursuers. But 500 warships meant something else. It meant the Accord was afraid. And fear made them predictable. Elias had not joined the military to be a hero. He joined because Earth needed volunteers, and the pay would help his sister move off-world. The Terran Expeditionary Corps had promised peacekeeping, exploration, cooperation. Then came the first betrayal. An Accord patrol seized a human research station under fabricated charges. When the human escort protested, the patrol fired first. Earth's response was diplomatic. The Accord's response was annihilation. Elias was on a repair tender when the order came to retreat. He watched a human cruiser split in half on the viewscreen, watched escape pods get vaporized to prevent resistance. Something broke in him that day. Not rage. Resolve. He didn't swear revenge. He didn't make speeches. He just stopped believing the galaxy would ever treat humanity as equal. And when his tender was disabled, when command was gone, when surrender meant execution, he ran. And running taught him things. The Accord fleets moved like predators trained for pack hunting. They spread out, formed overlapping sensor nets, cut off hyperspace corridors. What they did not understand was how humans saw space. To most species, space was emptiness between points. To Elias, it was terrain. Radiation shadows, microgravity turbulence, old battlefield debris still charged with unstable energy. He slipped the Wayfarer into the wake of a gas giant, riding electromagnetic storms that blinded sensors. When a cruiser followed too closely, its shields overloaded and collapsed. Elias didn't fire. The planet did. He dove through a shattered asteroid refinery, engines scraping metal, knowing the larger ships couldn't maneuver inside. 2 destroyers collided trying to pursue him. Elias whispered a quiet apology to pilots who never knew why their instruments lied to them. He wasn't killing them. The galaxy was. Reports reached the Accord faster than the ships themselves. Entire squadrons lost contact. Command vessels refusing to jump into certain regions after anomalous human activity. Crews whispering stories. He appears where sensors say nothing is there. He turns our own momentum against us. He doesn't attack fleets, he makes them destroy themselves. Some species began calling him the unseen human. Others called him the ghost of Earth. Korthak hated the names. Superstition, he spat. This is one biological entity. It eats, sleeps, makes mistakes. Then why, asked a junior tactician, has it survived every engagement? Korthak had no answer. Because Elias Ward was no longer fighting for victory. He was fighting for time. Elias knew he couldn't win. Not by destroying 500 warships. But he didn't need to. Every jump he forced them to make burned fuel. Every lost ship strained logistics. Every unexplained failure shook morale. And somewhere, far beyond the hunting grounds, human colonies listened. They heard rumors, whispers, unofficial channels buzzing with impossible stories. One human. Still free. Still fighting. Elias recorded a message on a tight beam transmitter, encoded in an old civilian format the Accord never bothered to monitor. If you're hearing this, he said quietly, don't come looking for me, don't fight them head on, learn, adopt, survive. He hesitated, then added, we're not done yet. The Accord finally cornered him near a dead star system, collapsed suns, twisted gravity, a place no sane ship would enter. 500 warships formed a tightening net. This ends now, Korthak announced, his image broadcast across the fleet. Human, surrender. Elias laughed softly, the sound more tired than amused. He checked the reactor readouts, the patched systems, the stress fractures. The Wayfarer would not survive another long chase. But it didn't need to. He transmitted one final burst. Then he jumped, not into hyperspace, but into a gravity shear between 2 collapsed stellar remnants. The Wayfarer vanished. Half the Accord fleet followed. Space folded. Physics screamed. When the distortion settled, over 200 warships were gone, crushed, torn apart, or flung light years off course. Elias Ward was nowhere to be found. The Accord officially declared Elias Ward eliminated. Privately, they banned pursuit into unstable regions. Privately, they rewrote tactical manuals. Privately, they admitted something terrifying. If one human could do this, what would happen when there were many? Years later, on a fringe world rebuilding under a false name, a man with tired eyes fixed engines for farmers and traders. He never told anyone what he'd done. He didn't need statues. He didn't need songs. Because every time an Accord fleet hesitated before attacking a human settlement, every time negotiations replaced bombardment, every time humanity was treated with just a little more caution, Elias Ward's journey continued. Not as a legend, but as a warning. The galaxy had deployed 500 warships to hunt one human. And learned, far too late, what it meant to make an enemy of someone who refused to be seen, but would never stop fighting.